What's going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a fantastic day, and welcome back to the Armory.
The Armory is a podcast where we bring it down kind of what it means to be a leader and various skills and traits that go along with it.
Podcast looking a little different today. We got a guest here. This is Jason Goggans, our father. He's a leadership...
Do we start?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Jason, you're on the show now.
if y'all could be a little more engaging, please.
Oh.
That'd be nice.
Oh, sorry, man.
Keep me. One of the goals should be keep me awake as a guest.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Being a little more interesting, but let's go.
Okay.
All right, well, hey, we'll try to be more interesting.
All right.
Anyways.
All right. So, back on track. Jason here. He's a leadership development coach. He's been owning businesses for the last 20-something years. So he's real qualified to do that.
Yeah, he's a little leadership coach at Chick-fil-A for us. Actually,
And he does the outside too. But
yeah, he's private and Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
So
Jason, how you doing today?
super cool.
I'm doing well. I appreciate you guys having me on the show. Looking forward to discussing this topic. And I will say before we get started, I really love that you guys are doing this. And I think one of the reasons you guys decided to dive into the world of podcasting with this particular topic is because it's a much needed skill for people in your age bracket.
100%.
Yep.
You know, the ability to be a leader, to lead yourself. I always tell people with leadership development that there are very few people that will do what it takes to be a great leader.
Yeah. So I was thinking about how you're falling asleep earlier. That was really good.
Yeah, keep me awake. But it's very hard to be a great leader. That's why there's so few of them. And that's good news and bad news. You know, the bad news is that it's hard to be a great leader. The good news is there's a lot of opportunity.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The world needs great leaders now more than ever. So I appreciate you guys doing this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. It's fun. We have a good time.
Yep.
Thanks, Pops.
I love it. Yep.
And anyone who watches consistently knows how much we reference you. We're like,
We do.
something my dad always says. And
Yeah.
here's my dad.
I appreciate
shout
this
out.
very
What
much.
he always
Shout out,
says.
Dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're kind of the topic we're going to be going over today is kind of leading yourself. I think he briefly touched on it a second ago, but it's going to be leading yourself and just how important it is and how crucial it is to success.
Yeah.
So
I know
guy.
we've touched on this a lot. I mean, I know
Yeah.
we preach
For
this all
sure.
the time, but coming from a different perspective might be nice. And him,
Yeah,
who
and I
is
mean-
read books on books and is more educated than the two of us combined
yeah,
on the whole thing, and because he's been doing it for however long.
What you're saying is I'm old.
yeah.
I mean, let's just call it what it is.
Old man.
Old man.
Yeah, I was going to be nice
He's
with
got
it.
the wise and
Wisdom. With age comes wisdom.
Yeah.
That's
Something
right.
like that.
So
lived through some life.
they said that once or twice.
One guy said that once, yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Um,
Jason, how do you feel to be the first guest on this podcast?
It's pretty awesome.
yeah, you are the
Yeah.
first guest.
There you
Yeah,
go.
I have a soft spot in my heart for the two hosts, which makes it nice.
Yeah.
I've been on a lot of podcasts, and but this is probably my two favorite hosts I've ever been on a podcast.
Oh, I wonder why.
Yes, I don't know why.
Do you know we're
Still trying to
sponsored by Alani,
figure that
actually?
out. Are you really? Does Alani know they sponsor you?
No, we haven't told them yet.
Not yet, but we haven't let them know.
Gotcha. Okay. You might want to send an email or something.
Yeah, I'll let them know.
We're gonna get right on that.
Still haven't got my paycheck from them yet.
It's odd, strange,
Yeah,
real weird. Mom
super
and I might be keeping
weird.
those checks.
Yeah,
What?
I did not
You
say.
said-
I did not say anything.
What?
Let's go. What are we doing? I didn't say anything.
I thought he said
Wait,
I said nothing.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay. You probably said
Yeah,
nothing
you-
then.
yeah.
Right.
Don't worry about it.
Keep going. Yes.
Josh, you got the first question for him?
Yeah. Let's go. So I kind of wanna set this up. And I wanna set this up in a way where it's gonna resonate with someone who is very new and doesn't really know a lot about this. So I want to know kind of your opinion. There's multiple things that you can do and you can start doing to lead yourself, and that's going to the gym, working on your fitness, self-development. That's even getting into good routines like waking up earlier, or maybe breaking bad habits. What do you think out of all of the above is kind of the most important, and maybe even not most important, but where's the best way to start?
So before I answer that question, I love the casualness of the podcast.
Yeah,
How many podcasting can I go on with my socks and just my feet up like this?
Yeah.
that's what we're going for.
I like it.
It's
That's why-
comfortable.
we
We're
got
on
the
the couch.
I like
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Yep. It's
Yeah.
very cool. I like it. So, I'm probably going to answer that a little differently than you may be thinking, and I can elaborate from there. But
Yeah.
I think the first step is understanding, to your point, why it's so important to lead yourself. And I
Yeah.
think when we think of leadership, we think of leading others, right? And when I define leadership and what it means to lead others, it's influence. You have to be able to have influence with other people.
Yeah.
So in the workspace, it becomes managing versus leading, right? If I'm managing, I'm just telling people what to do because of my position.
Sure. Yeah.
I can win short-term battles with that. I'll lose the long-term more when it comes to morale, building trust, building relationships,
For
and
sure.
such. But what I really want to happen is I want people to do a good job and work their tails off and have a good attitude and high morale because they want to do it for the leader,
Yeah.
for the organization,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that is a skill to build influence, right? So when we think of leadership and influence, we think of doing it to others or for others. But you got to have that same kind of influence over yourself.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people lack that. And I think when you talk about what's the first step, I think the first step is to understand how important it is to lead yourself and how it is the first step to being a great leader. Because the first person in life you'll ever lead
Is
is you,
yourself. Yep.
right? So
That makes sense.
when you learn to lead yourself, it does a lot of things. First and foremost, it helps you build skills. Like the same skills it takes to lead myself are the same skills required to lead in the workplace or lead in my family and things like that.
Yeah.
So when you look at the ability to have maybe mental toughness or work ethic or perseverance, those are directly translatable to leading other people and leading in the workplace. But you learn that by leading yourself, by doing things like improving your health and fitness or improving your sleep routines or maintaining relationships in your personal life, right? When people come to me and they ask, how do I build great relationships at work? It's the same phenomenon as building them in your personal life. There's no different.
Yeah.
We just wanted to delineate between the two, and there really isn't one. So when you learn to lead yourself, it builds a baseline confidence, right? It builds a baseline skill set. And if your personal life is a train wreck, you'll have a really hard time leading others. And the reason is because first and foremost, you don't have the skills. But secondly, is because people are going to know that your life's a train wreck.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you lose credibility.
Yeah, I was thinking that too, and it's almost like I'm just gonna use this as an example, but like appearance. Like if you're not like taking care of yourself, and if you're not like
Your
really
hygiene's
working
bad.
on yourself, yeah,
Yeah.
bad hygiene, bad fitness, how are you gonna walk into a room wanting to lead all these people, and they're just gonna look up at you and be like, "Wow, like this guy looks like shit."
Well,
like,
if you're going to be a leader, you kind of have to have followers.
yeah,
Kind of hard to lead when you don't have followers,
100%,
right?
yeah,
So when you walk into the room like that, what you're really doing is silently communicating a lot of things about yourself. So when you walk in the room, you're disheveled, your hygiene's not good, your hair's not fixed, your outfit isn't nice, maybe you are more out of shape. And when we talk about fitness and being in shape, we don't have to be ripped.
yeah,
Like, we don't need the six packs. I know there's influencers out
Yeah.
there that talk about the importance of a six pack. I don't agree with that.
that's a good distinction to make.
I just
Yeah.
think taking care of yourself, it should be a part of the equation. But what you do, if you have two people walk in a room and one takes good care of themselves, they care about their hygiene, they care about how they look, first and foremost, you can almost guarantee they're going to walk in with more confidence.
Oh yeah,
So it's not just the outward appearance; it's also how you carry yourself. That confidence, my chest up, my chest out, my chin up, things like that. You just know when a guy or a girl walks in a room and they've got their stuff together. You just know something's different. The person who walks in more disheveled or out of shape, they know it. Listen, I coached fitness for a very long time, and I've had some deep, intimate conversations with people who are unhealthy and out of shape. And I
Yeah.
will tell you that when no one's around and they're being open and honest, like this body positivity stuff we hear about is a farce. People who don't feel good about the way they look, that's the first thing they think about when they walk in a room, or what are they thinking about me?
yeah,
And when that's your first thought, you're going to wear that, right? You're going to portray that to people.
yeah,
And it's going to rub off on them. And they're going to think, like I said, it's going to silently communicate things that you don't want to silently communicate. And when it's the opposite, it communicates the more positive thing. It's this person off the rip, it tells you they love themselves, they care about themselves, they have self-worth, they have self-confidence, they're hard workers, they have discipline, they have delayed gratification. They got all these skills that translate directly to whatever area of life we're trying to or we're living in the scenario that we're talking about. So it's learning to lead yourself. It's I'm sure we'll delve into this further in the podcast, but there's so many different ways to lead yourself. You bring up fitness and health, but I got what I call the 5 F's, right? Which is your faith, your family, your friendships, your finances, and your fitness.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Those are the 5 F's that I think are the foundations of life that we need to learn to lead ourselves with.
Yeah.
And we need to be strong in our faith, whatever that faith is. We're not here to tell people what their faith should be, but you need to be strong in your faith.
Mm-hmm.
You need something bigger than you to live for. When the biggest thing in your life is yourself, you're in trouble.
Oh yeah.
We need family. Right? No one's going to have your back like family. And we need to cultivate those relationships and maintain those relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Friendships, the same, right? We are social creatures. We need to have social bonds. And there's, research out there, and a lot of it, that the number one predictor of longevity in life is the quality of your social connections. Not even fitness and nutrition, but social connectivity is the greatest indicator of longevity.
That's very interesting. That's something I wish I knew 2 days ago when I had a little conversation with a friend.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Oh, I know. I was like, who? I remember now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where friendships comes in, and then finances, right? We need to make sure. And when I say finances, I kind of lump career into that as well.
Sure.
So make sure we're leading ourselves appropriately in those areas. And then of course health and fitness, pretty self-explanatory. So those are like the 5 F's that I think people need to make sure they are focusing on when they learn to lead themselves. But that is. The ability to lead you is the first opportunity in life you're going to have to lead. And it's the place where you're going to build your skill set. It's the place you're going to build your confidence. But it's also the place you can do the opposite if you don't tend to it carefully enough.
Yeah. That's good. I like having that list of like priorities. That makes it easy to like kind of funnel down of all the things that the world's kind of throwing at you and that you're just like overwhelmed by. It's a nice little funnel down. All right, let's focus on these 5 things.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can get these 5 things in check, I mean, you look good.
Yep.
I like how you articulated that.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we go back to the scenario you gave about the guy or girl that walks in, maybe their hygiene isn't great, they're a little disheveled, they're out of shape. What it tells me is they've given up on themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They don't believe that they are worthy or they have enough to offer. I was talking to a client of mine the other day, and it's a female client, and she's having her own personal struggles, and she was talking about how when she is middle-aged and single and wants to meet a partner,
Mm-hmm.
and that is one of her primary goals, is to meet a partner.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, when I go to the grocery store, I go to Lowe's or Home Depot or whatever, I don't even try to look good. I just throw on whatever, don't even fix my hair, and I go. And we had a long conversation about why she makes that decision. She wants to meet a partner. What if the partner of her dreams is at Lowe's that day?
Yeah, seriously.
And she decided to go disheveled.
Mm-hmm.
She lost her chance, right? But what she's really communicating is that I don't believe I'm going to find a partner. So why even try?
Wow.
That's crazy.
Right? There's no point of even trying to look good because it's not going to work anyway. So why put the effort in? And the guy or girl who's coming into the room, whether it's in the workplace or whatever, in the same way, is basically saying, I've given up on being successful. It's really never going to happen for me. So why should I even try?
Yeah.
And those are the silent messages we convey when we fail to lead ourselves.
Yeah, that's wild.
That really is.
I mean, I think a lot. I think of a couple people that like work with us at Chick-fil-A that apply to that, like leadership wise, like like not taking care of your hair and all that, and
well, and so what do we do with people like that? We don't give up on them, but the coaching opportunity there is to find a way to turn that mirror back on themselves and highlight for them those silent messages they are conveying and get to the root of why they're doing it and go to try to help them in those areas. So if we realize someone's doing that because they have low self-worth, well, we got to go figure out why they have low self-worth, which is a lot of times rooted in childhood experiences and things they were told and experienced and things like that. So we don't give up on those people. I'm not saying those people are less worthy, but they are portraying the message that they think they are.
okay, so a lot of people that they're gonna be watching this are gonna be people who do have that feeling of like low self-worth. what's your combat to that? Like, how do you take someone's
Good question.
childhood like trauma and then try to show them that the other side of it, like that there is another side, like.
Yeah, so I think my philosophy on that has always been the first step is awareness, because people have low self-worth and don't even realize it. So a lot of these behaviors we talk about are subconscious. People aren't typically saying that, hey, I have low self-worth, so I'm not going to look good. It's not that overt in their minds.
Yeah.
It lives deep in our subconscious.
Mhm.
So we stop making certain efforts, right? We stop trying as hard, and we're not consciously connecting it to low self-worth. And another way to say that is self-sabotage, right? So that's self-sabotage behavior, which, it's funny that the of all the phobias that are out there, fear of heights, claustrophobia, tight spaces, agoraphobia, acrophobia, all these phobias that people have, spiders and all these things. There's actually a phobia that might be more prevalent than all of them, and that's the fear of success. A lot of people are scared of being successful. And when you first hear that, you think, why would somebody be scared of success? Well, the fear is rooted in the fact that they don't think they're worthy of success. So when we think we're not worthy of success and we start to taste a little bit of success, we tend to self-sabotage. And we'll
Really?
subconsciously start enacting behaviors that sabotage our success. And we wonder why we can never get past a certain level in life, because a lot of times we think, I'm not worthy of that level of fitness. I'm not worthy of that level of financial success. I'm not worthy to be loved. So we sabotage relationships. We sabotage careers. We sabotage businesses. We sabotage our health and fitness and things like that. So it's the first thing we have to do is make them aware that that's actually the behavior that they're engaging in. From there, a lot of times it really depends on the root cause of their lack of self-worth, right? Sometimes it requires a little bit of coaching, and maybe sometimes the awareness alone can help it. And oftentimes it might be something that only therapy can help, right? And you have to refer them on to someone who can maybe go a little deeper with it. But I think turning the mirror back on it and making them realize I am doing these things because I don't feel like I'm worthy is the first step.
Yeah.
And then a lot of times, like for me in my life, it was detaching my worth from the things that happened in my childhood, right? So, and first, a quick pause, because I am your father's. Am I boring you with the yawning over there?
No, dude, I'm just tired. I'm sorry.
Just giving you a hard time.
Oh man, dude, I was
know
thinking,
they're
I'm
watching.
like,
I know
"Whew."
they see you yawn. They think, man, this old man's boring him.
Yeah.
You want to put like a 10-minute nap time mid podcast? Is that
Yeah.
gonna?
All right, and we'll be right back.
Yeah.
Hey,
No.
it's not great. It's not a great Alani endorsement that you're yawning.
Yeah, you're right.
Alani's
It's
supposed
because
to
I
wake
don't.
you
He
up.
has
It's
done
'cause
how I
don't
do. Have you
one.
seen me yawn once? Not once.
See, a real podcast pro would have the Alani.
I
ready and
should.
waiting.
I'll tell you why. It's because I have to drive today, and so I don't want to take a whole bunch of caffeine throughout the day. So
Because you're not leading yourself properly, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's not good.
It's my
his
I
problem.
feel like
Yeah, I got you.
I feel like subconsciously I just feel like I don't have enough self-worth, so I
Hey, someone
don't
should bring
really
that to your
care about-
awareness.
what? Wait, what?
Oh, I didn't hear you. What?
Wait.
Wait, what is this
Wait,
podcast
I'm-
about?
This is a podcast where we rank things.
Rank things.
All right, Dad. Top 5 fast food places. Go.
Number 1, Chick-fil-A.
Okay.
Oh, why?
Yeah.
Why Chick-fil-A?
It's got good chicken.
Oh, I
Yeah.
like chicken.
The waffle fry.
Ooh.
Elite.
Yeah, it's
Hey.
really good.
Easy.
I wouldn't say elite.
Easy.
It's the best fry. Chick-fil-A sauce is the best sauce.
I will say this. At Chick-fil-A this morning, I discovered a new thing that you can do there that blew my mind.
Really?
You guys know, the frosted coffee.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Frosted coffee with Oreo added.
Oh yeah, that's a classic. And
That is a
chocolate.
classic.
I didn't do the chocolate.
That's what I said to him earlier. I said
Yeah,
you did the chocolate
chocolate
too,
and-
right?
Yeah,
He's like, no.
I'll give it a go, but that changed my life.
Yeah.
And that was like 4 hours ago. So
good
Did you
stuff.
put whipped cream on top?
I don't do whipped cream.
You're
It's
weird.
a waste of time.
Yep.
It's like eating air.
Hey, dude,
like
it
eating
tastes,
sweet
tastes
air.
good as shit, bro.
It's good though.
It's
So anyway, sorry. Just want to
Anyways,
pick
yeah.
on you about the yawning.
That's valid.
So going back to what we're talking about in my life, for me, it was about detaching self-worth because I saw a lot of these things in myself.
Yeah.
I owned businesses for a long time, and we were blessed enough to have a good amount of success. But I always saw, there were times in my success that I got complacent, which can be a self-sabotaging behavior. And not to get too deep into my childhood here, but I had a father who decided at 2 years old, went out. Now he wasn't 2, but I was 2. that he was going to leave my mom, right?
Okay.
And he decided at some point in his life to have nothing to do with me anymore,
Yeah.
right? And as a kid, it's funny. Kids, we think when we're kids, we think the world revolves around us. We are the center of the universe, and everything that happens is done for us or because of us.
Yeah.
So when a dad basically disowns you, you think it's something you did, right? What did I do? What was I not enough?
What's wrong with me?
What's wrong
Yeah.
with me? And that is a self-worth issue, right? So I know I had my own self-worth issues because of what he did and did not do. And what I had to do in my life was become aware that this was causing self-sabotaging behavior and making me feel like maybe, hey, if I'm not even worthy of my dad, how could I be worthy of success?
And this was all subconscious for you?
Well, it was for a long time, but it became, going on the awareness piece, it became something I made myself aware of through trying to understand myself better, which is the beauty of personal development, right? It's why
Yeah.
we go on that lifelong, never-ending personal development journey because we
Yeah.
learn so much about ourselves. But along the way, this is what I learned. And I had to detach my worth from his actions.
Yeah.
What he did, the choices he made, were independent of me. He didn't say, I don't like him, so I'm going to do this. He's not
Right.
good enough, so I'm going to do this. He's not worthy. He wasn't saying that. He has his own demons. He has his own shortcomings. And those manifested themselves in my relationship with him. So I had to be able to separate the two in my mind to then rebuild my self-worth to a level where I realized, you know what, having a great career, a great family, financial success, health, and all those things, that I am worthy of those things. So when you ask the question, how do I develop that, or how do we go to work on that, it depends on the severity. But then it's from there, it's a matter of being aware of it. And then maybe it's something you can fix on your own, or maybe you need help. When I coach clients and we realize this is an issue, and sometimes I just have them start reading a book. Here's a book on self-sabotage. Here's a book on self-worth. Start there. Because a lot of times that can then turn into a rabbit hole that leads them to other resources and things like that. So,
Yeah. Sets them on the right path.
yeah.
Interesting.
So as you shared, I was going to say something, but then you got into it. But you've had these childhood traumas, and you had like these demons of your own, which a lot of people relate to. Like, obviously we cannot, because, Dad's still here.
Our
and
dad did not leave us.
He did not leave us, unfortunately.
Well, I mean, the day is young, so.
Yeah, that's why I said, unfortunately, he
Yeah.
didn't leave us.
I
so-
mean,
Wait, is that why you were
I'm
packing?
don't worry about the suitcases, all right?
What?
Don't worry about the suitcases. Don't worry about the moving truck. We'll talk about it later.
all right.
I thought it was
Move on.
weird that you said
Hey,
vacation.
Move on. It's a
You-
long vacation we got planned. Yeah.
You haul for a vacation?
Hey, but we'll be back. I'll be back. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll take your word for
All
it.
right. Hey,
yeah,
man.
Yeah. Yeah. Just move on.
That's cool. All right. Sounds
Okay.
good.
Let's not get awkward. Let's go.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, all
All
right.
right, cool. Yeah, but so I was saying was like, so a lot of people are gonna be able to relate to that, because a lot of people like have that mental block, and like, what are ways that you overcame that? Because like I don't necessarily know if I have the right to be able to tell someone, or to be able to, like, I don't even know if I know, like, well, here's how you get rid of that. How do you, if that makes sense? Like, what do you do? Like, what did you do that was like, okay, that happened, let's move on. Like,
And was it all like mental? Was it all just stuff you had to kind of like convince yourself or talk yourself out of, or was it more actions
did
that
you
you
have to
did?
give it to God? You have to pray for it, which
I would say everything you're saying played a role into it. There's a lot of prayer. I think a lot of it was God. A lot of it was mental. A lot of it was understanding psychology, right? Understanding how humans work. And I think some of it's age. We talk about being a kid and how the world revolves around you. Well, the older you get, the more you realize nothing could be further from the truth. So if I'm going to say, okay, well, other people's actions are very rarely caused by me, then I've got to do the same for my father. Right, his actions were not caused by me, and so again, a lot of things. There's a convergence of a lot of things. There's prayer, there's research and understanding. There's a lot of a lot of thought, a lot of processing. There's finding out information about him, right, from other family members of what his life has been like, or what his demons are. Or I know there's been people in my family that have tried to reconcile, like go to him and say, hey, you need to fix this. And the reasons he gives for not doing it and how invalid they are, you start to realize he's broken. A lot of it, honestly, is having a family of my own, right? So what I realize is, like, when I say this, I've said this to you guys a lot, but I did not have the strongest. I had an amazing mother. I got a great brother, but beyond that, I don't have family at all. I have them; they're out there, but they're not in my life by their choice. And so for me, now look at your mom. She has a big family, and for they're a close knit family. They're the kind of family that if you need something, they're going to be there for you, right?
Yeah.
And you see other people in my life that have that, and I grew up and I didn't have that, and I didn't understand, what the how important that was, and what a good thing in life that would be. But at some point, I did. I realized that's what we all need. Going back to the 5 F's, family, connectivity, and things like that. And so for me, it became, all right, I was not blessed with a family. That was not in the cards for me. So what am I going to do about it?
You're going to be the black wolf.
Yeah, we can get into that topic at some point if you want. But sort of along those lines, I decided to make my own. Right? If it wasn't going to be given to me, I'm going to make my own. And so got married to an amazing wife and have 4 amazing kids. And I use that word exactly how it's meant, amazing, because that's what you guys are. And when you do that and you find yourself being a father and a family, and how important you guys are to me, and the depth of love that I have for you is something that your hearts and souls can't even process yet. When you feel that, and then you look at my father and realize he didn't have that, it connects dots for you that something was broken in him. Because that's what a father's supposed to feel. A father's supposed to feel that deep sense of not just love, but responsibility. Like, I brought you into the world. It is my job. You guys aren't an accident, right? You guys were brought into this world because God trusted me and your mom to do right by you and raise you properly.
Yeah.
So not only is it the deep love that we have for you guys, but it's the responsibility that comes with that.
Yeah.
He lacked that. That's him. That ain't me. So when you ask what got me there, it's a convergence of all these things that go through your head, and you process it. It's age, it's prayer, it's having your own family, it's research, study, learning psychology, finding out more information about him and his brokenness. It's all of that. And you finally learn at some point to detach your own worth from his actions. And again, I was able to do that without therapy. Therapy's fine, nothing against it. I just was able to do it without it. But some people, I don't think your father leaving and disowning you, quote unquote, qualifies as trauma. So I think it's unfortunate. I don't think it's ideal. I think it's not good. But then there's people out there who have had deep trauma.
Yeah.
That may not be as easy for them, which is fair. So another way to answer your question is, like, you who maybe can't relate to that, well, then it's not your place to coach them on that. What you do is you outsource it. You resource them. You say, hey, I hear you. I empathize with that. But I don't quite know how to help you. So here's somebody who could.
It's like asking like a car mechanic to manage your stocks.
Right.
Like, it's just like talking to someone who's just not qualified at all to do what you're trying to do.
Yep. And that car mechanic would hopefully say, I don't know stocks, once you go talk to this guy who does.
Yeah.
Same principle.
Exactly.
Well, what if your car mechanic, like, that's his second job and he actually is qualified?
Oh, damn. Okay. Well, maybe
Well, he just wrecked all over your theory.
Yeah.
maybe you hit the jackpot.
Yeah. So he, A, can fix your car, and B, can manage your stocks.
We should run an analysis on.
What is he talking about even?
Yeah, he's stupid.
He's not thinking.
Yeah, he's the dumb one on the podcast.
Yeah. That's what they all. But we should do an analysis on how many car mechanics are actually stockbrokers in their free time.
Oh, I actually have the stat right here.
Do you really?
Yeah, I have.
Hey,
I do.
If you're gonna spend your time doing something, this is what it should be.
Oh yeah.
This is the epitome of leading yourself.
So
right
after
here.
right here.
Oh, I see right there.
Okay,
yeah.
right here you can see I'm editing our podcast right now. as you can see, if you take the 3 and the 7
Where's the Y and X axis? Let me see the.
right
Do
here.
you have any pie charts?
Yes,
I learned best from pie charts.
right here. See this guy right here?
Yeah.
That's him right there. All right. So,
Okay. So
the-
4.
with-
Answer's 4.
okay. Well, 4 out of 10 mechanics are
So 70%.
4
yes.
out of 10.
4 out of 10. That's what I got from here.
Wow.
4 out of 10 mechanics are actually.
This is why you watch the podcast
Yeah.
right here.
Yep.
Hey, you learn
If
something new
nothing
every
else,
day.
you got that out of it,
Yeah.
which is
Seriously.
special. Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the most important thing. All right. So thank you guys for joining today. And
So you guys see why I say they're amazing. I mean, that was well done.
I'm a big math guy. I've always
Yeah.
been
Clearly.
real good. at
It
math.
was a natural gift.
It really was.
And
it really was.
I would say that's your only natural gift.
Yeah. Just yeah.
But
Somehow I was able to
Gift.
take the
Yeah.
podcast
Yeah.
editing and turn it to a. But you know me. Come on.
Yeah, come on now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I did want to go back to something you kind of said that made me think of something else. So when you said that it was like just the cards that were handed to you, like your dad left you, and what you did in response, like you had those cards. All right, I'm gonna start my own family. I'm gonna do it different. That is interesting, and it made me think. And I want to say I've referenced this on a previous episode, but I could be wrong. I saw this thing a little while ago, and it kind of it kind of put this into a new perspective for me, and it made a lot of sense. But it was that like you're gonna get dealt like the cards that you're gonna handed the cards you're dealt. Like you can't do anything about it. So why spend time like wishing you had all these other cards instead of using the cards and making the best of the cards that you have?
Mm-hmm.
So I just thought that was interesting, and how I feel like it connects to more than just like what you were saying. And so like when people have like self-worth issues or confidence issues, like my appearance, or my parents, I wasn't raised in money, like I wasn't like brought up in money, I wasn't, I'm not the smartest, like I just feel like there's so many things that you can focus on instead, because like Zach has said in the past, everybody was blessed with a natural gift. And I think it's very important that you find whatever that gift is and not focus on the gift that, like if it's me, the gift that Zach has. Like I naturally don't have that gift,
Like
but
pie charts and graphs and
like
such.
Yeah.
I don't have the gift of pie charts and graphs, and just like complete mathematical genius.
Yes.
Yeah, that's just not me. So I'm
Right.
gonna focus on the gifts that I was given and the cards I was dealt, instead of wishing I had the cards that are in his hand.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think what you speak to first and foremost is the victim mentality. I think that's why you hear a lot of people rail against the victim mentality, because it prevents you from realizing your own abilities and gifts. And because I promise you, everyone out there has a gift, everyone out there has a talent, everyone out there has a purpose, everyone out there has a path, right?
Yeah.
But when you're too caught up in the victim mentality of focusing on what you don't have, or focusing on the things that have gone wrong, you shut your mind down to seeing what actually could go right. That's the ultimate downside to having that victim's mentality. And that's why you hear a lot of people say, if you want to be truly happy in life, we can debate whether or not that's a worthy thing to chase. But if you want true joy or fulfillment in life, you really need to focus on gratitude. And when you focus on gratitude and being grateful for what you do have instead of focusing on what you don't have, it opens up your heart and mind to the possibilities that presents, right? We're all dealt bad hands in life. We all have things, maybe one person has a better family than another, but then they may not have as much money, and they may not have as much intelligence. This person may not have been born in the right place. Maybe these people were born in a third world country. These people were born in a first world, and we can all find things that could have gone better. Maybe some people have health issues. Some people don't. Some people were raised in an area with a good school system somewhere, and we can always find things that didn't go right. But I think when we focus on what did, we're going to have a lot higher likelihood of finding the right path for us.
Yeah.
And making the best of what we, to your point, we're dealt a hand, good or bad, we can always make the best of it. So, and you listen, especially in America, I don't care what hand you were dealt, it's a heck of a lot better than the hand that was dealt to people in a lot of other countries.
Yeah.
We do have the upper hand in a lot of ways. You know, the opportunity we have here is different and is special. So
It's the freest country in the world.
It
You
is.
can literally do whatever you want
Yeah.
to an extent.
yeah, I mean, listen, I think the poorest people in America would be the wealthiest people in a lot of other countries. So it's so again, to your point, I think what you highlight is the victim mentality and why it's so detrimental and devastating when
Yeah.
but a lot of people are caught in that loop. It's easy to get caught in the victim loop because now we can have self-pity. Now
Yeah.
we can feel sorry for ourselves, and there's a weird kind of comfort that comes from that because it abdicates us from responsibility. Now we can say, I don't have to be responsible for my own life because I'm not in control of it.
Yeah, it's this person's fault or it's this thing's fault or it's just how it is.
Victim
Yep.
mentality. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yep. So let me ask you guys a question.
Yeah.
So we talk about leading ourselves, and you're 19 going on 20. You just turned 18. How has your view of self-leadership changed in the last 1 to 2 years? Like, what do you think has changed? What switch has flipped in your heads to make you say, okay, this is A, why it's so important that I lead myself, but B, here's how I need to do it.
Let me think.
You didn't know I was going to be asking questions.
Oh no, I love it.
Yeah, fine by me.
That's a good question.
And let me while I'll give you a chance to think. I'll say
Yeah.
something else about you guys while you're thinking. As a father and people who obviously, or somebody who's very involved in your lives, here's what I've seen. You guys have poured immensely into your faith. F number 1, right? You guys believe deeply in your family. F number 2. You guys have a great group of friends. F number 3. You guys are fiscally, financially responsible. F number 4. You both go to the gym and take care of your fitness. You are, at your age, tending to the 5 Fs. Why?
I mean, I have to give all the credit to
Yeah.
this gentleman
This
right
guy's
here.
standing between us or sitting
I
between
mean,
us.
Yes, we've been preaching to us since I can even remember, you know, all the leadership and like, you know, not being a little bitch, you know,
And it's
really.
and it's something that I feel like you did a few minutes ago on the show. It's something that you've always put in really good perspective of kind of like funneling it down to don't make it hard on yourself. Don't try to think of so many specific things that you just want to get better at. Like narrow it down to like these 5 things and really spend time out of your day every day to tend to them and to grow them and not to just sit there and let them,
Yeah.
you know, whatever. But I think that is something like, because I grew up in middle school, high school playing football. So I kind of learned from a combination of you and football the importance of fitness. And I think part of why I understand it so well is because I was rooted in it growing up. So I have that. That's one. Family, I've always had a great relationship with my family, and they're just awesome. All you guys are awesome and always been there for me. And so obviously you feel like you have to give back. So that's 2. Friends because me and Zach are very picky with friends. So as you've seen through the years, we've gone through some different friends, different friend groups. But once we kind of found the ones that we have now and the ones that have stuck with us throughout the years as well, all of these, like just the 3 things I just named are things that I was kind of brought up and growing up in and have all kind of contributed to kind of where I am now. Now, a newer thing, another one of the F's is finances. I've worked at Chick-fil-A since I was 16 and made like minimum wage or close to for the first couple years. And then now as I'm like now in upper leadership, obviously I make more. But now that I'm kind of learning how to be responsible financially and how to invest in what that looks like and different tools I can use. That's something I wasn't brought up in, but something I'm learning, and I feel like it's just opening my mind up, and it's something that's really helping me grow, because I feel like if it's something I can master or at least really work on and really grow in early while I'm still 19, 20,
Mm-hmm.
then it's something that I think will set me up big time.
Yes.
So I think the things I named really helped me come up, but that one, and then faith is interesting for me. Faith is, I feel like I'm kind of typical, like grow up going to church, but like never actually like having a relationship. But on the other hand, I feel like I've always kind of had like something there, but I've never actually like poured into my relationship with God. Like it's kind of just been there, but like weak,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so really growing it over the past year or so, coupled with like the finances, have been the two areas of my life that I haven't always been good at. And so really focusing on these two and growing in these two have like changed my life and my perspective. So it's interesting that there's some that I grew up in and that was definitely an advantage. But then there's some that I didn't grow up in and was not an advantage that I'm really having to learn now and that are really, really helping me.
And I would reframe it slightly, and I want to hear your perspective. I'm going to ask you a question too. So when you say you didn't grow up in it, but you did in a sense, and what I'm really trying to compare here is your upbringing versus somebody who had zero exposure to religion and God.
Yeah.
The house you grew up in, we're talking about religion, is we did not expose you as much to well, yeah, best way to phrase this, because we did go to church and do those things in the younger years, but there was a point where we probably separated a little bit from religion, but talking about God never left. And God was always a part of the conversation. And having a relationship with God was always talked about, even in the background sometimes.
Yeah.
Long talks we would have, times where maybe you guys didn't make the best decisions. We always brought God into that conversation. So you were brought up in it in that sense.
Yeah.
But to your point, you weren't brought up in it where we forced you to go to church and do these things and jam it down your throat, for better or worse. So what would you recommend for somebody maybe who was brought up in a household where God wasn't even talked about? Because I promise you there's people out there listening who would say anywhere from God wasn't even talked about to my parents didn't even believe in God, right? How would you guide that person to maybe establish that relationship or get started with that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say the biggest tool that we have that God gave us is the Bible. So I would say start reading the Bible.
Yeah.
I think that is the best first step. And if possible, read it with someone else, because it's it's a lot easier to interpret the Bible with someone else when you can have discussions and talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
So, Miss Fisher, my teacher in high school, she would always study the Bible with new believers. And the reason she did that is because when she can like kind of talk through the Bible with someone and like ask questions, she would always tell me she would like play dumb. She would almost play dumb like with them, like she was another person that had not read the Bible, and she would ask these questions, like she'd be smart and like throw these questions in here.
Mm-hmm.
And it would just be oh my gosh, that's not my train of thought. But it would be like, I'm saying that's like an example of like reading it with someone. That way you can have conversations, ask questions, and come to a conclusion. And then I would also get involved in a church.
Yeah.
Have like get a community around you. I would say those are the two best first
That would be
steps.
a good episode one day for you guys to do, is how to get involved with a church, because that's a harder leap than it may appear on the surface for a lot of people.
Yeah.
We'll come back to. But one thing that Miss Fisher, that she, from a leadership perspective, one of the best things a leader can do is ask questions, right?
Yeah.
So why are questions such an important thing for leaders? Because it leads the other person to their own conclusions. And when we can think our way to a conclusion ourselves, then we attach ourselves to that a lot tighter.
Sorry, you can go ahead if you were going to finish.
No, go ahead.
It's very interesting how much people lack that these days.
Oh yeah.
The ability to ask questions and come to their own conclusion. How much people will just
Listen to something
Listen-
and take it
yeah.
as truth.
and take it at face value,
Mhm.
not think anything more of it. Like that's just how it is because somebody told me.
Like the
Hey, wild conspiracy theory here. I think that is how we're programmed in schools now. And I don't think schools and the way they're set up is an accident because you got kids who are active and maybe a little bit hyper by nature, which is good. And we're telling them sit down in a row and shut up and do everything you're told.
And then when you can't do that, you have ADHD and you need to get medicated for it so that you can do that.
Yep, and I think there are people who truly have ADHD. Don't get me wrong, but I think it could be maybe overdiagnosed. But the point is, you are trained to be a robot. You're trained to be a factory worker in essence.
Yeah.
Is to just sit down and shut up. And so what happens is that you're no longer taught how to think for yourself. You're no longer taught how to have critical thought, and that's a problem, right? That's a problem when you get later in life because life requires a lot of critical thinking. And listen. Go down whatever rabbit hole we want to here, but when the government tells you to take a vaccine because I said so, and you do it, no questions asked, that's a lack of critical thought.
Yeah.
And it's not a coincidence that 70% of the population did that, right? Because, and I don't begrudge those people that they made their own decision. That's fine, but at the same time, there's a lot of regret. There's a lot of people who took that were not happy that they took it. And what I would implore people to do is maybe learn to implement critical thought. To your point,
Well, and
by asking questions.
that example is kind of what we were talking about the other night. Was like, why were they having to bribe people to take this vaccine?
Yeah,
You get
Like,
the free fry and burger.
Yeah.
free donuts.
Yeah. And like, and all that, but also like, you have to take this vaccine before you come back to work.
Yeah.
You have to take this vaccine or you're going to lose your job.
Another
Why did they have to do that?
Well, and that's when it kills me when people say the vaccine wasn't mandatory.
Yeah.
It may not have been a law, but it's pretty dang mandatory when it says you can't work anymore if you don't take it.
Yep.
That sounds pretty mandatory to me.
Yeah.
all doctors' families had to do it, and
Yep.
one of the big things I hear is like, well, you have to go on a cruise. You have to get to go on a cruise, and we already, we booked our cruise. It's in a year, and then by the time they get the vaccine, then the cruise comes, and it's now it's not a requirement anymore.
Yeah.
And then now they're coming out and saying that it actually was not as effective as we thought, and it really
In fact,
doesn't
it was
matter.
dangerous,
Yeah.
more dangerous than we thought. Yeah. So changing gears, kind of parlaying on what you were saying about the faith and leading yourself and all that. You guys were very sweet to give me credit for the way that you guys are turning out, the way you're handling your lives. Here's how I see that. All I ever did, I was a facilitator. That's all I did is facilitate. All I did was give information. You guys had to take it upon yourself to act on it, and that's a much harder job than what I had to do. So I would flip that credit back to you guys first and foremost. Secondly, though, and that's what I would love to hear your feedback on, is what about the guy or girl that didn't have that kind of family, that didn't have the guidance or the coaching, or didn't have a tight bond with their mom or dad, and has been left in life to maybe figure things out on their own? How does a person like that learn to lead themselves?
Example A, this podcast or other podcasts or books or people. I feel like a lot of it has to do with your friends. Going back to the F's again, like find some friends. Like find some good friends that like are maybe a little ahead of you in life, or like you're here, they're here, and you get a good relationship with them, and they're gonna pull you up here with them, and you can learn from them. Look at social media, change your feed, like try to see other like David Goggans, like what did he do? Try to look at all the different aspects of that.
He carried the boats. That's what he did.
Yeah, and the
the
logs.
The logs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, who else?
case
Was
you're
going,
wondering, that's what he
who
did.
else was going to?
There's nobody else that
There you
could have.
have it.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
right, David Goggins. That's
Yeah.
actually my uncle, his brother.
Uncle Goggins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
Uncle Davey, we call him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh Davey. Yeah.
Davey. Yeah.
He looks just like you. It's crazy.
It's the resemblance is unreal.
Yeah, I've always said that back when he was first getting popular, I would have a phone call with somebody who's never met me, and they was like, "Are you related to David Goggins?" I got that question more than you realize until they saw me, and they were able to somehow piece it together.
Yeah.
Maybe he looks a little different
a little
than you.
different. Yeah,
Yeah.
a little different.
But my point with that is that, like, if you don't have it, find it. Like, try to find it, because not everyone's going to be dealt the same cards, and the cards that I was dealt with you in my life. So what you do with that, you find it, just like anything else. Like, I wasn't dealt with, like, I don't know, the ability like with numbers and math and stuff, and so
Whoa! We just learned that's not true. Actually,
that's right. That's right. I forgot.
Don't be silly. Yeah.
Sorry, my bad.
Yeah.
So I was dealt with that. So
Right,
screw
right.
you. And
So
yeah.
so yeah, bad example.
Yeah. No, but that really is an example. I'm not gifted in math. Like, that is not my strong suit. So
We can do a whole nother podcast on what you just said, because I would submit to you that you're just fine at math. But the reason you struggle is because you think you're not good at it.
yeah.
Save that for another day.
Save it for another day. Whatever.
Go ahead.
You always say that. But so I was dealt the cards I was dealt, and like good family, I have these skills. But then there's this whole other list of skills I don't have. And if I want to have them, what do? I search for them. I search for the best ways to get that. Like, I talk to people, look it up, research it, like listen to podcasts, all that kind of stuff. You gotta like want it and then go find it, because it's out there. Like this podcast, for example, or like, you know, Jocko Willing's podcast, or George Janko's podcast, and then the Cliff, whatever his last
The
name
Armory
is.
Podcast.
The Armory Podcast. Right. There's all these different sources, and then there's books on books about this kind of stuff. You just got to go look for it.
Yeah, and that was, I'm sorry, I just want to add this real quick, because you ended up getting to what I was going to add in the beginning, is that you have to want it. If you don't want it, then, I mean, what's going to make you get up and...
I would take that one step further. There's a lot of what you said to unpack there. You got to want it. I agree. So let me say this first. What I love about your answer is this, that, okay, if you're not blessed with the people right around you, you're you know, it goes back to what I said. I wasn't blessed with a big family, loving family. So what I do, I created one, right? So if you weren't blessed with a family that was supportive or coached you or taught you, then you go find the information. Like this, it's like the saying, if I'm able to see further, it's because I stood on the shoulder of giants.
Yeah.
Right. Which means that I got information from other sources, from people who were further ahead of me. So at the end of the day, it's about knowing that people have already been down the path you're trying to go down and seeking out the information to get you there. I would agree with you that you got to want it, right? And I would add another layer to that of you got to believe that you're worth it, going back to that self-worth thing.
Yeah.
You got to believe you're worth it. You got to want it. But then the other piece is you got to believe that you can. And that goes to that growth-minded versus fixed-minded, right? There's a lot of people out there who are fixed-minded who think, like you said with the math, right? Well, I'm just not good at math. That's not true. How much time have you spent actually trying to get better at math? I would submit to you it's probably very little. So you don't know if you're good at it. You're basing it on maybe dabbling in school and not being as great at it immediately. But there's people out there who weren't great at math who gave up and could have been good at math. So you got to believe you can get better and then actually doing the work to...
And that's like Michael Jordan in basketball. When he went and how he got cut. He wasn't good at basketball when he first started playing basketball, but what did he go on to be? The greatest player of all time.
Yep. Because he knew he was worth it, and he knew that he could.
Yeah.
To go on that is like, I don't know. Oh God, I was just thinking of it. But he wasn't good. He got cut. A lot of people are gonna not be good at something. They're gonna fail, and
They're gonna
that's
fall
it.
down.
They're
They
gonna
quit.
give up. They're gonna quit. So being able to like see your failure and see this is where I'm at. What can I do about it, and learn from it, and then look at him as the best basketball player probably to ever play
Yeah,
a game other than
because-
LeBron James. And
Whoa, easy. Easy. You make a hard left turn on this podcast.
Yeah, but it's like
that was a joke. That was a joke.
Yeah,
That was a joke.
big joke.
MJ the GOAT.
I have raised them well enough to know that MJ's the GOAT. Be very clear.
LeBron James.
But it's like you have to know that failure is a part of life and it's gonna happen. And why? I mean, I guess why, because it's easier. But you have to think to yourself, why would I fail and then quit after one failure? That way, and my life just be what it is. And instead of like, why wouldn't I just get back up and like try again? And like, why wouldn't you just keep going at it? And I just said why, because it's hard. But
Yeah.
And you've also got people who do have the low self-worth. They don't
Yeah.
believe they can. They have the victim mentality. All the things we've outlined in this podcast. At the same time, I would submit a slight mindset shift on failure. I think it's actually impossible to fail. I don't think we ever fail. I think we quit. And if you never quit, you will not fail. Period, point blank. So if I start a business and I shut the doors on it because I'm not making enough money, what I did was actually quit. And you can say, whoa, what if you ran out of money? There's always more money, right? You can always find more money. What if I just got tired of doing it? Fine, that's fine. But you quit. Had you kept going, and you would have been, in a mindset where nothing was going to stop you, you would have eventually succeeded, right? So a lot of times failure is just quitting too early.
Interesting. It's a good way to look at it. I've never thought about it like
I
that.
also have never thought about it that way. That's good.
So one of the things I was gonna, I think you brought up the black wolf thing, right?
Yeah.
And I think it might be a worthy conversation. How much time do you guys have to go here? Are we good on time?
We're about 15 minutes.
All right.
10 minutes.
10 minutes, yeah.
I think the black wolf thing, and I'll set up what that means, but I think that's a worthy discussion when it comes to leading. So the black wolf theory, it basically states that, I'm going to be the person in my lineage that changes generational dysfunction.
What
Right.
does black wolf mean? Like, you're a black wolf. What's the analogy?
So the way I understand it would be most wolves aren't black.
Right.
Most wolves are gray, white, gray, that whatever the color scheme would
Yeah.
be. The black wolf stands out.
Yeah.
Right? They look different. They are different. They, they're seen differently. So I think that's what the analogy would be.
Yeah.
If I'm wrong on that, somebody can type it in for me and let me know. But
Let us know down in the comments
Yeah,
below.
yeah.
Thank you.
smash that subscribe button.
Oh, God. Make sure you hit
Oh,
that like
man.
button. Boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom.
Hey, that's real original. We should say that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no one's ever done that
Yeah.
before, have they?
We should
I've
we should
never
ask
seen that.
people to turn on the post notifications.
Yeah, that's good.
Because
That's
nobody
good.
does
Nobody's
that.
doing this.
Nobody asks
That's why
that.
you guys are leaders right there.
And it's like
Give me bumps.
it's like if we could just have people get notified when we post, then that would be like their only notification because they don't ever get any
right,
actual
so you just
notification.
stand out. You be a black
Yeah.
wolf of YouTube.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Guys,
Yeah.
in case you were wanting to know any of his validity on any of these topics, watch this. Hey, dap me up. See that? No, dap
Here,
up
here,
Josh.
I was gonna
watch.
say get. Oh.
Wait, what are we doing?
We're
Oh,
dapping
oh.
up. Look,
That?
see? He's got cleaned out,
He's got
which means
cleaned out. So I mean,
he knows.
I also learned today how to say something slight, cuh.
Some slight co.
all right.
I learned that too.
Like, hey, Dad,
Okay.
Dad, you're a real good shooter. That was a good shot.
Yeah, thank you.
And your response would be
I don't know. I'm not,
some slice.
see, I'm not that hip. I just learned something slight, cuh today. So
and he mentioned glazing earlier.
I
Yes.
did.
That was pretty
I did
fantastic.
use that. I did.
Yeah.
He's like, no need to glaze me.
Yeah.
So the black wolf theory basically is you have a generational dysfunction, and you're going to be the black wolf that stops it.
Yeah.
So if you have a family history of alcoholism or abuse or a father that leaves when you're 2 years old or whatever, insert whatever dysfunction you want there, somebody somewhere along the line, if it's not going to continue, it has to stop it, right? Because if I continue the ways of my father, then you guys will then take those lessons from me and continue them, and it just never stops, right? Someone at some point's got to be the black wolf, and that is they're going to stop doing the things that other people did in your family to make sure that generations to come are set up for better success.
Yeah.
And I see myself as that a lot in my family because there's a lot of dysfunction. And I'm not saying I'm nailing it. I'm not saying I'm knocking it out of the park. I don't even know how successful I'm being, but that is how I see myself, right? For better or worse. So for people who watch this podcast and want to be a better leader, I think there's going to be a lot of people watching who fall into the same category. Maybe their father's not so great. Maybe their mother's not so great. Maybe it's a split family. Maybe there's no religion or faith. Maybe there's no good example to look up to. And they think to themselves, this is just what it is. This is just what life is for me. I will not be able to do any better.
It's a
This is
loser
what I've been
mentality.
modeled, so I'm going to continue it.
Yeah.
Whether that's a conscious or subconscious thought. So I think there's a lot of merit in having the discussion of being the black wolf. And I would encourage people out there watching this podcast to process that, right? If you come from a great, strong family, then it's not needed. But if you don't, and I would submit there's a lot of people who don't, that you do have an opportunity as you learn to lead yourself to be the black wolf. You don't have to continue generational dysfunction just because that's what was modeled for you. To Zach's point, we have other examples out there we can turn to. We do have podcasts, which is a very powerful medium that I'm so happy that we have. We have books, we have coaches, we have mentors, we have other examples in our life we can turn to and say, I'm going to follow that example. I'm not going to get sucked into the generational dysfunction that I come from, and I'm going to be the one who stops the lineage the way it's been done for maybe generations in the past.
Yeah.
That is a black wolf. And I challenge anyone out there watching this podcast, if you come from that background, to be that black wolf. But if we're going to be that black wolf, it starts with learning to lead yourself, right? Learning to follow the 5 F's that we talked about. By setting, is something we haven't talked about when it comes to leading yourself, is having a set of values that you stand for. Like, what are you going to stand for as a man? What are you going to stand for as a woman? What values are you going to live by? Right? Honesty, integrity. Yeah, the list can go on and on and on, but what are you going to do? Establish those values for yourself, then live them every day. Right? Then when you start your own family and you have your own kids, you live by those values. You reestablish those values with your family. You continue to lead yourself in the 5 F's, and you become that black wolf that says, never again in my family, never again with this last name will this happen to us, because you are the black wolf that stood up and changed things. So that's the idea of the black wolf. That is the metaphor, the analogy, if you will, that I encourage anyone and everyone to think about and process. Can you be that? And again, if you come from a great family, that's awesome. That does give you a leg up in life. Now, it's your job to continue it, not to wreck it. But if you didn't, you can be that black wolf. And I think that's one of the first thought processes we can have as to why would somebody want to lead themselves better. Well, this may be one of the reasons why.
Yeah.
I kind of see us as a black wolf, like in this generation. Now, obviously not in our family, because, you know, we're not changing anything in our family. But in this generation, like, the standard is broken. Like, the standard is go the American dream, whatever, weak, go to school, whatever, be a weak ass man, follow what the government tells you, whatever. And I think we're the black wolf in this generation because we are Gen Z. We are stuck in that crowd due to our age and what time we're coming up in, or being brought up in. But we are the black wolf of this generation. We're different than everyone else. We're not the typical go to school, go to college, get a good job, work for the government, whatever. We're changing the perspective. We're trying to change men. We're trying to turn men and make men leaders again, and trying to bring God back into the world, which is really it's at an all-time low, I feel like.
Gotta be.
I'm pretty sure it like actually is like
And this
Jesus and
country is
religion.
becoming more secular by the day. There's no question. There's fewer believers in God now than there's ever been in this country. Unfortunately.
Yeah, and that sucks. And it's only going to get worse if this generation, when they have kids, they don't know any better than what they're told, right? So if we can be that black wolf, people like us and all the other, you know, people that like more influencer people that are, you know, that have the same idea, same message, we could change this generation. That's how I see us right now.
Yep, it's a great thought, and it's a great add-on to what I was saying, because let's say that you do come from a great family and you do or don't have some of the same issues, you can still be a black wolf, but of your generation, to his point. You know, and it's the same phenomenon, it's the same principle of I'm going to do things differently. And it is my belief that there are more people in alignment with what you just said than we realize, because it tends to be that squeaky wheel that speaks out. It tends to be the people that are maybe not as strong in their faith, or maybe who want to see certain things changed in this country, that can tend to be the loudest, but I do believe they're the minority.
Yeah.
But what makes you the black wolf is you're actually part of the majority that's willing to speak up and fight back against that, because it's you know, we live in the times of cancel culture, and there's risk, but I would submit that the risk is well worth it. So I agree with you.
So at the end of the day, it's in God's hands, and cancel culture can't be God.
God needs soldiers.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you want to be the loud minority of the majority.
Yes. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Okay, that took me just a second to get that, to really put that together.
You should change your podcast name to that. The loud minority of the majority. It just flows.
Loud minority of the majority. Yeah.
Okay, I
That's
like
good.
it. Yeah, it's
Okay. Welcome back to the Loud Minority of the Majority podcast.
Yeah.
Show
Yeah.
Show.
episode, you know, couch.
But yeah, I think we'll run out of time here. Gotta wrap this up a little bit.
Yeah.
Um,
It's gonna be the longest one yet.
it's good.
It's good, yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Got a lot of good stuff here.
But yeah, anything you guys got before we close this out? Anything y'all
You
wanted to
got-
add?
Yeah, you got any last thoughts?
No, I think I would just encourage people to take leadership seriously. I'm a firm believer that leadership can solve all of our problems in our personal lives as well as our professional lives as well as in the world. I think leadership is wildly underestimated. There's not enough leaders. And I think that it's our job to A, find great leaders, and B, then teach them how to be even better leaders.
Yeah.
Or find people who want to be leaders and teach them how in the first place. But I think that starts with putting value in leadership. And if you believe that leadership is important and you believe that it can solve a lot of the world's problems, then it starts with you. It starts at home. It starts with how are you going to lead yourself? Are you going to let things happen to you? Are you going to be a victim of life, or are you going to take control of life? Right? Are you going to feel like I have no say-so in this? Or are you going to say I have all the say-so? And a lot of that comes down to how well you're able to take the reins and lead. And is it hard? Yes. And I'll leave you with my favorite quote when it comes to this. Everyone at Chick-fil-A has heard this, and you guys have heard it, but everybody wants to eat, but few will hunt. And as I translate that into leadership, everybody thinks they want to be a leader until they find out what leaders have to do.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to eat. We all want to enjoy the meal. We all want to enjoy the taste of the good food. But who's willing to go hunt for the food, kill the food, skin the food, take the meat off the bone and cook it? Who's willing to do the dirty work it takes to then feed everybody? Not many.
And that's what I always say. I always say people envy the result, but they don't envy the path or whatever they want here. They're here. They want here.
They
Yes,
want to
without
get here
this.
without.
They just want to be here.
Yep.
Here, right to here.
And it doesn't work that way.
It does not.
Everybody wants to eat. Few will hunt. The way I say it to myself, I'm going to hunt.
And I'll leave you guys with a quote of my own is, everybody wants to eat, but few are willing to hunt.
Oh, that's powerful.
And that's something that everyone at Chick-fil-A has heard, and you guys have probably heard me say it.
That really has a lot to do with the fact that I'm going to be the majority of the minority of the vocal majority minorities.
Vocally.
That's what I say.
And the Armory, so.
That's what I live by.
Right.
Yeah.
Inside the Armory is where that tends to happen.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have any wisdom you want to convey?
Something I always say.
What do you say?
When it comes to parenting, there's no handbook.
There's no handbook.
There's just no.
There's no
no
handbook.
There's no handbook, and I've always said it with my kids. They're over there.
But we should there's an opportunity there. We should write the handbook.
Yeah.
Oh.
We should produce and manufacture printed handbooks.
How much money would we make?
A lot of money.
There
That's
you go.
all I care about.
Don't take this idea.
Yeah.
That's all
It's
I
ours.
all I care about is money.
ours.
We claim our idea. Yeah.
It's copyrighted as of right now.
Yep, because we said so.
Right.
That's
how
right.
that works, right?
Yes. Score.
We can name it the Parenting Handbook.
Man, you just come up with all the good titles.
Yeah.
You're something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what they call me. Something.
You are to book titles what he is to math.
Yeah.
That's what I say.
Seriously.
It's
what
my
I hear.
credo.
That's what I hear.
You have to have a credo. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You got
All right. So as we wrap up, I want to show appreciation to you guys for having me on. It was a blast. I really, really, again, as your father, yes, but also as a leadership coach myself, just tell you how important things like this are, especially for your generation. There's a lot of podcasts and resources out there for people when they're a little bit older. But I think we learn to lead, or at least start planting the seeds of leadership at your age.
Yeah.
So I think the work you're doing here is powerful. I think it's important and it's much needed. So kudos to you guys for taking the leap and doing this. And I think you're going to do great things. So A, thanks for that. B, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it very much.
Yeah. And we appreciate you for all the wise words, all the great conversations we've had today. It was awesome. And hopefully everyone sitting at home was enjoying it as much as we were.
And then the laid back nature. I can kick my feet up and just talk.
Yeah, just chill. We're just having a conversation here.
Just three dudes talking. That's all it is. Yeah.
Four.
Four. Yeah.
Four.
Yeah.
Drinking beer, Drinking beer.
Something like beer.
I filled mine with vodka. I don't know. Did y'all do that?
I
Did
did.
y'all do that?
I did too.
That's what I always do.
Yeah. Okay.
Speaking of, I just want to say I often wear this Budweiser shirt, but it's not because I drink, because I don't. But look at the back of that. Tell me that's not the coolest shirt you've ever seen.
That's not.
It's not the coolest shirt I've ever seen.
All right, that's cool, man.
You told us to tell you that.
Yeah.
I think it is. I like this shirt. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Anyways.
But everyone tell them.
Yes. Shut up. Anyways, thank you for joining us so much, Jason. It's been a treat.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for calling me Jason.
Yeah. Jason
Sorry.
Goggans.
Yeah.
Jason Goggans.
Dad, Pops,
Yeah.
Papa. Yeah, cool.
Mimi,
All right.
Mimi and
Absolutely.
Moo.
All right.
Sorry. Anyways.
Well, thank you guys for joining us too. We'll see y'all in the next one.
Yes,
See
sir.
you guys.